This week, Jonny Robot works on his green thumb with a little Plants vs Zombies garden warfare. Jimmy the Geek reminds us of his top 5 video game movies that simply do not suck, and we take a look at how to get started playing Blizzard's new online card game, Hearthstone. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week we've got quite a bit of good news to get through, starting off with something that's made Aussie gamers very happy. Blizzard has officially launched Australian servers for Diablo 3, tying in with the launch of expansion set Reaper of Souls this week. The new servers are hosted in Sydney, providing optimum ping for Australian and New Zealand gamers, no more lag for locals. The arrangement is a little complicated behind the scenes, but there's a couple of important things to remember. Your friends list will remain the same, that's hosted on Battle.net, not the game server. You also don't need to download, register or adjust anything, just load up the game as you would normally and you will connect to the fastest server. Now that Blizzard has this new hardware, we're guessing Diablo 3 won't be the only game that gets to use new machines. World of Warcraft making the jump is unlikely with its persistent world, but we think a super low ping could come in very handy with upcoming arena game Heroes of the Storm, formerly Blizzard Dota. While new servers make us very happy, we're also delighted by the news that we don't need to use some others anymore. EA and Maxis have finally rolled out Update 10 for SimCity, meaning that offline mode is well and truly launched. Simply put, you will still need an internet connection to download Update 10 for SimCity, but once you've got it, you won't need one to play the game unless you so desire. Good news also for indie developer Vlambeer, who launched aerial shoot-'em-up Luftrausers earlier this month. While anyone with a Twitter feed could tell you the game was super popular, we don't think anyone was quite expecting this. Luftrausers became profitable after just 2 days on the market. This is quite the turnaround from last year's E3 when, after a successful showing, somebody stole studio co-founder Rami Ismail's laptop from a party. And now, the bad news. Activision has announced it will stop selling downloadable songs for Band Hero, DJ Hero and the entire Guitar Hero franchise on March 31st. So if you haven't yet perfected your library, you should get onto that. Quick smart. All of the songs that you've already purchased and downloaded will still be playable and the game's servers will remain online, but other than that, once they're gone, they're gone. Things are slightly more positive for fans of Titanfall. If you've been hanging out for the game on Xbox 360 rather than Xbox One or PC, you'll still be hanging out a little while longer. The third version of the game will not be released until April 11. That is our first look at Armoured Warfare, a brand new, massively multiplayer online tactical military project from Obsidian Entertainment, the studio that brought us South Park: The Stick of Truth and the ones currently working on classic RPG Pillars of Eternity. We don't know too much about it just yet, but Armoured Warfare is entering closed beta later this year, and you are invited to sign up. And speaking of tanks, if you would prefer your military strategy fix on the go, closed beta signups are also being sought for World of Tanks Blitz, a mobile interpretation of Wargaming's super popular title. The 7-on-7 pocket-sized adaptation promises to rival anything on a console and is headed to both smartphones and tablets. There's some big PlayStation news this week too, as Sony reveals its virtual reality device, Project Morpheus. These specifics are still being worked on. We're expecting some more details will come out at E3 in June, but current prototypes feature a 90-degree field of view with a 1080p display. These statistics make it awfully similar to the Oculus Rift, which has just made its second-generation dev kit available for purchase. The Rift boasts a 100-degree field of view other than 90, but other than that, they're pretty similar. However, the Oculus Rift is currently selling to developers for $350. Project Morpheus? We don't know any prices, or any dates. A couple of bombshells have also landed from Ubisoft. First up, you will snag 4 extra missions worth of content if you pick up Watch Dogs on PS3 or PS4. You will also get a unique white hat hacker outfit and an extra hacking boost once the extra missions are completed. And in case you thought you could get away with an entire year without an Assassin's Creed game, you thought wrong. This is Assassin's Creed Unity. We have a new setting, Paris amid the French Revolution, and a new protagonist, Arno. Assassin's Creed Unity wasn't supposed to have been made public just yet, but it seems Abstergo has forced Ubisoft's hand, prompting an early reveal. The game is headed exclusively to PS4, Xbox One and PC, and it's due out by the end of the year. Don't think you've heard the last from the franchise either. Another Assassin's Creed game is also rumoured with Comet, headed exclusively to PS3 and Xbox 360, but we don't know any more about it than that. For more information on any of these stories or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, got plenty more still to come.
Throughout history, there have been many great rivalries. Coke versus Pepsi, Shark versus Jets, Vans versus, well, every other shoe company in existence, with Vans always coming out on top. But in 2009, PopCap's Games created a new divide, a new seething rivalry. That between plants and zombies. But as with most epic rivalries, do I know how it got started? Do I really care? The answer to both of these questions is an emphatic no. But I do fully endorse them for the possible fun that they could provide me. So knowing the pedigree this game stemmed from, I was prepared for a true tactical experience. I had intellectual eyewear and a copy of Sun Tzu's The Art of War within arm's reach for when the going got really, really tough. But as soon as I popped this sucker into my Xbox One, it hit me like a 200-pound bag of Miracle Grow. This was no longer a tower defense game. It was a really cutesy reskinning of Gears of War Horde mode. Alright, fine. To diminish it to that straight off the bat would be an unfair critique. The main goal in PvZ garden warfare is to protect your garden base from increasing waves of enemies, using your mad shooting skills and by setting up little subservient cannon fodder plants as obstacles. My detective badge may have only come out of a cereal box, but the similarities are striking. But then, just when you're ready to dismiss it, bam! PvZ throws a couple of new elements into the mix to liven things up and really set it apart from its contemporaries. More than just using colours other than brown. In the main mode, Garden Ops, you're given the choice of 4 different classes of plants to hold off the impending zombies with, each with their own distinctive feel and abilities. You've got the obligatory cannon on Lake's pea shooter, a walking tank called Cactus, Audrey Jr. from Little Shop of Horrors drops by as your melee force, and then you got my favourite class, the Sunflower. Because A, it's a medic class and I'm a sucker for helping folk, B, it has a super sweet sun-powered death ray, and C, it looks straight up adorable in a plant pot on its head. Once you get into it and the seeds start flying, you'll find the actual combat itself is alright. It's functional, but there's nothing here to really set it apart from other third-person shooters of the same genre. It relies heavily on teamwork to succeed, and pretty much all the games I played, when I could actually find other players, had folk running off to become botanic equivalents of Rambo and meeting the same fate he does at the end of the book. Spoilers, he dies. This only online mechanic and having to rely on teammates that seemed oblivious to the fact that their connects constantly broadcast their unbridled hate-mongering made for very tiring and annoying sessions. And the thing is, you need to play with others if you want to unlock anything. Alright, so that's how it works. Whenever you successfully defeat waves of enemies, you get coins, right? These coins are used to buy booster packs of varying cost, ranging from about 10k to 200k, each containing random consumables or stickers of varying rarity, kinda like the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer system. Stickers go in your sticker book, and once you have 5 of a set, it unlocks a new skin or aesthetic, and the consumables are your cannon fodder plant turrets. Well, I played for 5 hours straight, never unlocked anything marginally cool, and wasted most of my sweet plunder on buying consumable booster packs, since I constantly ran out of slave plants. Although it's not there right now, it feels like the ominous presence of an EA microtransaction system is just waiting to pop up and tempt me with the easy path system. Thing is, despite all my negativity so far, PvC Garden Warfare does something amazing. It really has something going on that made me smile and have fun. Garden Warfare is unapologetically bright and colourful, with highly detailed character models and beautiful environments, which I really dug. Compounding on this is its goofy sense of humour, which shone through in every aspect of the game, and the music was a throwback to the amazing Universal monster movies of old. Aesthetically, Garden Warfare is phenomenal, which probably has something to do with the Frostbite 3 engine hiding under the surface. The humour's on point, and it has all the right ingredients for a competent, team-based third-person shooter. Problem is, it really has nothing to elevate it against other games of the same genre, other than being the only family-friendly one on the Xbox at the moment, and the matchmaking system needs work. It's fun for a bit, but I wouldn't recommend becoming too rooted into a game where the community, much like the plants I've ever owned, will wither away and die within the next coming months.
We know how much you love gadgets, how much you love good audio, and how much you hate it when your controller batteries run flat. Thanks to our friends at Turn Left, we have a pretty great little Geotech prize pack to give away to one lucky Player Attack viewer. We've got a shiny new EX03 Bluetooth PS3 headset, an AC1 PS3 charger, and just in case you thought we were playing favourites, an AC1 Xbox 360 charger as well. Want 'em? All you have to do to win your very own Geotech prize pack is head to playerattack.com, follow the links to the Geotech competition, fill out your name and contact details, and enter this week's key feature, which is on your screen right now. The competition is open to anyone in Australia and New Zealand and runs all the way up until April 11, with the winner announced on Player Attack shortly after. For the full terms and conditions, see playerattack.com.
It is said that wars are only won upon the anvil of honor.
Others believe victory requires strategy and a mastery of power.
War is deception. A game played best from the shadows.
Only strength and raw power can assure total dominance.
But of course, you could forget all that and just have fun! Hearthstone! Heroes of Warcraft.
It's been about a year now since Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft was first revealed, and once gamers got over the initial shock that Blizzard's next big thing was a card game, they just can't get enough of it. We've been playing it a bit since the closed beta test, and now that Hearthstone has finally been released so that everyone can play, it seemed like a good time to look at how to get started in this game that was created by a team of just 15 people at Blizzard.
We're busy tonight, but there's always a spot for one more. It's quick and easy to learn. Here, let me show you.
The first thing you need to do, of course, is learn and unlock all of the classes. There are 9 in total: Mage, Priest, Warlock, Paladin, Warrior, Druid, Hunter, Rogue and Shaman. That is exactly the same as there are in World of Warcraft. Each one has its own perks and downfalls, but it is a good idea to spend some time playing against the AI to figure out just how each one works. The Mage does have the most versatile hero ability, able to cause 1 point of damage to either your opponent's minions or your opponent's hero. If you're playing as a priest, it's a good idea to stack your deck with minions who have a high max health stat. That way, you can take advantage of your hero's healing ability, which can be used to help anyone on your side of the board. The Warlock is a little trickier for new players. You will need to rely on his hero ability to gain a card advantage, but remember you're spending health with each card, so it is a risky proposal unless it's done well. The Warlock, the Warrior and the Rogue actually break the general rule of attacking minions before heroes. Go all out on your opponent as soon as you can, particularly since the Warrior and Rogue will lose a lot of health as they swing against their enemies. The Druid is also well suited to this sort of approach with a semi-weapon based ability. For Paladins and Shaman, on the other hand, it's a good idea to have a deck full of minions that can buff each other, as you'll be calling in a lot of them to help. And finally, the Hunter is one of the least powerful heroes with an ability that can only be used against the enemy hero. But the Hunter deck can be filled with beastly minions that can buff other beastly minions, so it's perfect for a strong, aggressive game. Play a few rounds with each hero as you unlock them to see which one you like best, and try out a few different strategies with the starter deck that you've been given. The more you play, obviously, the more you'll unlock, so once you've picked your favourite class, it should just be a matter of time to unlock all of their basic cards. It's also worth paying attention to which cards you're playing. You can use that to your advantage when building your own deck or when you're picking which card to play next. As tempting as it might be to create a deck that only attacks your opponent's hero, I know it's a strategy I've tried on a number of occasions, it typically won't pay off, so you will need a contingency plan. A minion that is incapable of damaging other minions can be a waste of space. Sometimes you just need to target minions to keep in control of the board, so cards like Sinister Strike are less handy than you might like. Look at your minion's toughness, the second number on their card. If they don't have an additional ability like Divine Shield or Charge, they might not be the best value for mana. Even if a card has a 5 attack, if it only has 1 defense, it can still be taken out by the weakest opponent on the board. Take note of cards that work well together, but building a deck that relies on them can be a double-edged sword. If you get the perfect hand, you're set up for a good game, but if you only have one of the pair, you probably are on a weaker footing. Generally speaking, if you have played Magic the Gathering, you will be at an advantage when playing Hearthstone, but there are a few things that are very different. You can get rid of the idea of conserving mana. You will always get a new mana crystal with every turn, so you don't need to be scared of putting a couple of expensive minions into your deck. Something that costs 7 points is always going to be playable in the later stages of the game, even if you splurge early. It's also essential to keep an eye on any new cards you might get, either by leveling up or through booster packs. Early on, your deck will be made up of largely neutral, non-class-based cards. It doesn't take too many well-chosen class-specific ones to completely turn the tides.
I cannot believe it! You and your deck are unstoppable!
The beautiful thing about Hearthstone is that there are new gamers starting all the time, and Blizzard's matchmaking system is pretty great, so you shouldn't have to worry about being outranked the first time you jump into ranked play. And take advantage of that. Play as much as you want in ranked play. You can't lose any levels until you hit level 20, so it is a really good training ground. Compare that to casual mode, where you're significantly more likely to be squished by an experienced gamer looking for an easy win. Of course, there is so much more to learn about Hearthstone, but we only have a limited time. If you've got some great strategies or amazing deck builds, send us the details here at Player Attack and we will share the best ones in an upcoming episode.
Hearthstone! Heroes of Warcraft!
Job's done.
We love video games and we love movies, so why do we hate it when these two great things come together? There have been some terrible video game movies brought to the silver screen, but today I have found 5 video game movies that simply do not suck. Number 5. It might not seem like that long ago, but the world was a very different place in 2002. War hadn't broken out yet, PlayStation 2 was just coming into its own, and most importantly, zombies were not entirely played out. Resident Evil is really quite a good horror film, with some great concepts, elaborate deaths, and a killer soundtrack. Even though it is quite action-heavy at points, it's also suitably subtle, and Romero-esque at others. It keeps to the plot as much as it can, and its cheesiness really helps it feel like close to the games. Plus, any movie where someone gets cut up into cubes by lasers is worth watching. Number 4. Back before they became a truly popular storytelling medium, games just kind of made stuff up. This is why so many early video game movies struggled in the plot department. Then came Street Fighter. It treated the arcade series exactly the way it should be treated, like a giant cartoon. A stunning final performance by Raul Julia leads this hamfest as mustache-twirlingly evil dictator M. Bison. Human action figure Jean-Claude Van Damme and Australia's own little songbird Kylie Minogue play an elite military unit called in to bring him down. This movie has everything you could possibly want from the source material, which, I may remind you, is based entirely around a group of people punching each other unconscious in the world's most disorganized fighting tournament. Giant set-piece action scenes, borderline racist characters, and everyone involved taking it so very seriously. It's an utterly entertaining romp that, if nothing else, should make you laugh. Number 3. When trying to create cross-market through adaptation, it makes sense to adapt the most popular works first. Unfortunately, in 1993, the most popular work in video games was two plumbers in a land of sentient mushrooms being harassed by turtles. A lot of people hate Super Mario Bros. The movie, but I love it. Sure, the setting was changed from a bright, colourful world to a dark, cyberpunk one. The bad guys were changed from turtles to dinosaurs, and we focused on Luigi more than Mario, but considering what they had to work with, it's actually a pretty entertaining film. Performances by Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo, neither of whom will publicly talk about the film these days, all add a sense of weight to the very silly proceedings. The style was cool, the dimension jumping concept was awesome, and Dennis Hopper was having a ball with the whole thing. I highly recommend getting some friends together with beer and popcorn and giving this one another shot. Number 2. When working in any realm of fiction, commitment is everything. It doesn't matter how silly your idea is, as long as you believe it, your audience will too. That's why Mortal Kombat is so great. It commits. It commits to its silly premise about a shape-shifting old man who steals souls organizing a fighting tournament. It commits to the ridiculous characters, like the bright blue ninja who can shoot ice from his hands. It believes in everything it puts on screen. The entire cast puts on a strong performance, but the movie belongs to Christopher Lambert's Raiden. He has no idea about what's going on, clearly, but he's enjoying every second of it. That's what this movie is. It's a joyous little bubble of fun delight. And number 1. In 1989, Nintendo were resurrecting the video game market in the United States. The industry had blown itself up. They were at the top of the heap, and the best way to stay there was to advertise their fine products in the loudest way possible, and the end result was The Wizard. A bizarre but utterly entertaining piece of garbage. Taking shades from The Who's Tommy, it's a film about a group of unsupervised children taking a giant road trip to a Nintendo tournament. Starring 80s child actor icon Fred Savage, and hey, it's that guy Christian Slater, and of course, in its international debut, Super Mario Bros. 3. My personal favourite was the villain. His job was to track down lost or missing children and return them to their parents. Somehow, this movie demonizes one of the most noble professions in the world. This utterly shameless Nintendo ad is just like the Power Glove. We love it. It's so bad.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, everything is awesome as we take a look at the Lego Movie video game. Titanfall is back on the menu. How are those Australian servers holding up? And we chat to Victor Kisley from wargaming.net about what the future holds for the studio. In the meantime, you can catch us on playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.